All right, so today let's dive into something I think is pretty cool. Decentralized e-commerce. And specifically, we're going to be looking at a platform called DMarketplace. And we're going to be looking at their white paper and kind of what they're saying on social media, just to kind of get a sense of like, is this something that like you should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really interesting about DMarketplace is they're really aiming to make cryptocurrency something that
Yeah.
you use for like everyday purchases. Things like groceries, clothes, electronics, um, almost anything you buy like online.
So no more just holding on to it, watching the charts,
Oh, well,
hoping it goes to the moon.
exactly. They're trying to solve some big challenges, I think, that have kept crypto from really being widely used for like everyday purchases.
Okay, like what?
Well, you know how like most businesses
Right.
aren't really set up to accept crypto yet. DMarketplace is trying to solve that. Plus, they're addressing that issue of like high transaction fees,
Mm-hmm.
which, sometimes can be more expensive than the thing you're buying. And then there's the big one like price volatility.
Yes. The infamous crypto roller coaster.
Right. When the value of your crypto is like swinging wildly,
Yeah.
it makes people hesitant to like spend it. Who wants to buy a $10 coffee with Bitcoin? That might be worth like $20 tomorrow.
Yeah. So how is DMarketplace actually like gonna tackle all of this?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting.
Mhm.
DMarketplace is actually built on the Ethereum blockchain, which is this secure and transparent way to track transactions.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of think of it like a digital ledger that everybody can see. And it's recording every purchase and every payment that happens on the platform.
Okay, I get the like concept of blockchain, but could you maybe like break it down in a way that like clicks for someone who isn't like a tech expert?
Imagine a chain of blocks.
Yeah.
And each block is kind of like a container that's holding information about a bunch of transactions. These blocks are linked together in a way that makes it almost impossible to tamper with the data. So every time a transaction happens, it gets added to like a new block on this chain. So you have this permanent, unchangeable record that everyone can trust.
Okay, so the blockchain creates this foundation of trust and security. But what about the actual buying and selling process? Like, how does that actually work on DMarketplace?
Well, we're using smart contracts to automate the entire thing. You can kind of think of a smart contract like a vending machine. You put in your money, you select what you want, and then the machine automatically dispenses your item.
So I'm guessing the money in this case is cryptocurrency, and the item is whatever you're buying on DMarketplace.
Precisely. But instead of like a physical machine, it's all handled through these like lines of code that automatically execute the agreement when certain conditions are met. So when you buy something on DMarketplace, that smart contract takes care of like processing the payment, confirming the order,
Yeah.
and even handling any like potential disputes.
That sounds incredibly efficient. So like no need for a middleman
Yeah.
or a customer service rep to get involved.
Exactly. Let's say you buy a book from a seller on DMarketplace. The moment you confirm that you receive that book,
Yeah.
the smart contract automatically releases your payment to the seller.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. What happens if there's like a problem with the order? What if the book arrives damaged or something?
This is where DMarketplace brings in some like seriously cool tech. Artificial intelligence.
So like a robot judge making decisions?
So it's not quite that dramatic, but it's pretty close. They use these like sophisticated algorithms that act as like a neutral third party. So the AI analyzes all the evidence, like your complaint, the seller's response, maybe even like photos, and then it decides if your complaint is legitimate. No more like back and forth arguments or biased decisions.
That's pretty impressive. What's to stop a seller from just like ignoring a valid complaint though?
Well, DMarketplace has this like 3 strikes system in place. So if a merchant is found to be in the wrong 3 times, they're banned from the platform.
Oh, wow. So there's a strong incentive for sellers to play fair. Okay, so we've got the blockchain
Yeah.
providing the security, we've got smart contracts handling the transactions, and AI resolving disputes. What else is there to know about this?
Well, there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to talk about. The DMarketplace token, or DMP.
Now, I have a feeling this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Absolutely. DMP is kind of like the fuel that powers the whole DMarketplace ecosystem. And here's why you should care. You earn 2% back in DMP on every single purchase you make on the platform. It's like those cashback rewards programs you see with credit cards, but you're earning cryptocurrency.
So not only are you spending your crypto, but you're also earning more just by shopping.
Exactly. And holding DMP gives you access to, like, special deals and perks on the platform. Plus, to help keep the price of DMP stable, DMarketplace actually uses some of its revenue to buy back tokens, which can increase the value for everyone holding it.
So it's a good thing for those holding the DMP token. less volatility and more rewards, which means more purchasing power.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this is getting so much buzz, but I'm kind of curious about the user experience. Is DMarketplace easy to use?
Surprisingly, yes. You browse products, add them to your cart, and place your order, just like any other online shopping platform. But I'm guessing there are some key differences.
Of course. They got robust encryption to protect your information.
Mm.
And that AI we talked about is constantly on the lookout for any fraudulent activity. Plus, DMarketplace carefully vets every single merchant through a Know Your Business's process, which is kind of like a background check.
So it's not just anyone setting up shop on DMarketplace. You're dealing with legitimate businesses.
Exactly. It adds an extra layer of security and trust, so you can really feel confident about shopping there.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here. Blockchain, smart contracts, AI, the DMP token, and a really secure shopping experience. That's a lot to process. But hopefully, even if all the tech details were maybe a bit much, you're starting to see how DMarketplace is trying to make crypto a part of your everyday life.
Yeah, that's a great summary. It makes you wonder, what other industries could be transformed by this kind of decentralized approach. But before we go down that rabbit hole, we still have some more fascinating details about DMarketplace to uncover.
There's more. This is getting better and better. Let's get to it. Okay, I'm really curious to learn more about this AI judge that handles disputes. It sounded fascinating, but I'd love to understand exactly how that works in practice.
Sure. So let's imagine you order a new phone case from a seller on DMarketplace, but when it arrives, it's the wrong size. So you would start by filing a dispute through the platform, kind of like sending a complaint.
Makes sense. Then what happens?
Well, both you and the seller would present
Yeah.
your sides of the story, just like in a real courtroom. So you might upload photos of the wrong size case, screenshots of your order details, or any emails you exchanged with the seller.
So it's like building a case file, but it's all digital.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the AI examines all of that evidence. Without any human biases, it compares everything against the rules of the platform to determine if your complaint is valid.
That sounds a lot fairer than relying on a human who might be having a bad day or just not paying close attention.
Right. The goal is to be completely objective. Now, if the AI sides with you, the buyer, it triggers that smart contract that we talked about earlier.
So I'd automatically get my money back.
Precisely.
Okay. But what about the seller? What's stopping them from trying to get away with sending out the wrong items?
Well, don't worry. DMarketplace has that covered with their merchant penalty system. Remember the 3 strikes and you're out rule.
Ah, right. So every time a seller loses a dispute, it's like a mark against their record.
Exactly. And after 3 strikes, they're permanently banned from DMarketplace. That's a pretty strong motivator for sellers, I think, to act ethically and resolve any issues fairly.
So it's not just about resolving individual disputes. It's about creating an overall sense of trust and accountability on the platform.
Absolutely. And remember, this whole process is happening through those smart contracts. So it's all automated, transparent, no room for human error or manipulation.
Okay, I'm really liking how DMarketplace is prioritizing both buyer and seller protection. Now, you mentioned that they vet all the merchants on the platform. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Sure. They call it their Know Your Business, or KYB process. And it's pretty similar to the Know Your Customer checks you see in traditional finance.
So they're doing their due diligence to make sure they're not letting just anyone set up shop.
Precisely. Every single merchant on DMarketplace has to go through this rigorous verification process. They need to prove that they're a registered business, show their financial statements, and demonstrate that they comply with all the relevant regulations.
Oh, they really don't mess around when it comes to security.
They're serious about building a trustworthy platform. And it doesn't stop there. They continue to monitor merchants, even after they're approved, just to make sure everything is on the up and up.
That's reassuring to know. Okay, so we've got this strong foundation of trust and security, but I want to circle back to the DMP token. It seems like more than just a way to pay for things.
You're right. It's designed to incentivize everyone to participate in the DMarketplace ecosystem.
Okay, can you give me some examples of how it does that?
Sure. Well, first, using DMP for transactions is smooth and avoids those high transaction fees you often see with other cryptocurrencies.
So it's user-friendly and cost-effective. That's a good start.
And then there are those perks we mentioned earlier. Those exclusive deals and discounts for anyone holding DMP. The more you hold, the more you benefit.
Like a built-in loyalty program.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting. From an economic standpoint, DMarketplace uses some of its revenue to buy back DMP tokens from the open market.
They're spending their own money to buy their own token. Why would they do that?
It's a strategic move with a couple of benefits. First, by reducing the number of DMP tokens in circulation, they can actually increase the value of the token, which is good news for anyone who holds it.
So it's like they're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. More revenue leads to more buybacks, which leads to a higher token price, which attracts more users and generates even more revenue.
You got it. Plus, it shows that they're really committed to the long-term success of the platform. They're not just throwing a token out there and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
You're actively working to create like sustainable and thriving ecosystem.
That's impressive. Okay, I'm starting to grasp the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that's still a bit unclear to me. Those merchant fees, you mentioned they're 6%, right? What happens to that money?
That's where DMarketplace gets really innovative. They've designed a system where those fees are actually reinvested back into the platform.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more about this fee structure.
Right. So how much of that 6% fee goes where? Depends on what currency was used for the purchase. So if you use DMP to buy something, you actually get 2% of that fee back as a reward.
Wait, so I'm getting paid to shop?
Exactly. It's just another incentive to use DMP. The remaining 4% goes towards like the development of the DMarketplace platform.
So they're encouraging the use of DMP while simultaneously funding the platform's growth. What happens if the buyer uses a different cryptocurrency?
Then the entire 6% goes towards platform development.
So no matter what, a sizable chunk of those merchant fees is being reinvested back into DMarketplace. That's a pretty smart model for sustainability.
But those can't be the only fees, right?
Good catch. There are also fees associated with those liquidity pools we touched on earlier. These pools are what allow people to easily buy and sell DMP, keeping things running smoothly.
I remember. They're important for price stability.
Exactly. Now, there's a 5% fee when you buy DMP from a liquidity pool, and another 5% when you sell. All of that money also gets added to the platform's fee pool.
So we've got merchant fees, liquidity pool fees. What about just transferring DMP between users?
Good news there. DMarketplace doesn't charge any fees for simply sending DMP to another person.
Okay, so we've got a pretty clear picture of the fees, but what happens to the
all the money collected in that fee pool?
That's where things get really exciting. 40% of all that revenue is used to buy back DMP tokens from the market.
Wait, this sounds familiar. Isn't that the token buyback program we were talking about earlier?
You got it. And remember, it's a brilliant strategy.
Okay, but remind me why it's so important. What does this buyback program actually do?
Well, for starters, it makes the DMP token more scarce, which can potentially increase its value.
So it's good news for anyone holding DMP because their tokens could become more valuable over time.
Precisely. And it creates this really interesting economic loop. The platform earns revenue, uses that revenue to buy back tokens, which can increase the token's value, attracting more users and generating even more revenue.
So it's like a self-sustaining cycle of growth.
Exactly. It's all designed to create a thriving economy within the DMarketplace platform.
Wow, this is incredible. DMarketplace is clearly thinking long-term, not just about quick profits. They're creating this sustainable and innovative ecosystem, and I can see why people are so excited about it. But before we wrap things up, there's one more thing I'm curious about.
What's that?
What makes DMarketplace stand out from other platforms trying to do similar things?
That's a great question, and I think the answer lies in their commitment to transparency, security, and community involvement. But we'll dive into those details in the next segment.
Sounds like we've got even more to uncover. Okay, so we've talked about the tech, the fees, the tokenomics, but I'm curious about what sets DMarketplace apart from like other platforms trying to do similar things in the crypto world.
Yeah, that's a great question. There are a few things I think that really make them stand out. First, their approach to transparency is pretty remarkable.
Okay, tell me more about that. What makes them so transparent?
Well, for starters, all of their code is open source, meaning anyone can inspect it. It's exactly how the platform works. There's no hidden algorithms or secret back-end deals going on.
So no black boxes. That's pretty unusual in the tech world, isn't it?
It is, especially in the crypto space, where there's often a lot of secrecy. But DMarketplace is taking the opposite approach. They believe that being open and transparent is the best way to build trust and confidence with users.
Yeah, I can see why that would be appealing, especially for people who are maybe wary of the sometimes shady side of the crypto world.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just the code. DMarketplace also publishes regular reports and updates about the platform's performance, the use of funds, and any new developments. They're constantly communicating with the community and keeping everyone informed.
So it's not just about being transparent. It's about like actively engaging with their users.
Absolutely. They're fostering a sense of community ownership
Right.
where everyone feels like
Yeah.
they're a part of the DMarketplace journey.
Okay, so we've got transparency and community. What else makes them stand out?
Well, their commitment to security is also pretty impressive. We already talked about the AI dispute resolution, the know your business checks on merchants, and the robust encryption they use to protect user data.
Right, but there's more.
There is.
Mm-hmm.
They've also gone above and beyond to ensure the platform itself is secure. They've had multiple independent audits conducted by leading security firms to look for any vulnerabilities.
So they're basically bringing in outside experts to try to break their system, just to make sure it's rock solid.
Exactly. And they've made all of those audit reports publicly available. So you can actually see the results for yourself. They're not just saying they're secure, they're proving it.
That's pretty reassuring, especially for anyone who's worried about the security of their crypto assets.
And they've even implemented a bug bounty program where they offer rewards to anyone who can find and report security vulnerabilities.
So they're incentivizing the community to help them stay ahead of any potential threats. That's pretty smart. Okay, transparency, security, community involvement. It sounds like DMarketplace is really going the extra mile to build a trustworthy and sustainable platform.
Yeah, they're certainly setting a new standard for the decentralized commerce space.
So what does all this mean for the future of DMarketplace? Do you think they have what it takes to succeed?
Well, it's still early days.
Yeah.
And there are always challenges when you're trying to disrupt an established industry. But I think they have a few key things going for them.
Like what?
Well, first, they're addressing a real need. There's a growing demand for ways to use cryptocurrency in everyday life. And DMarketplace offers a practical and user-friendly solution.
Right. It's not just about speculation and investment anymore. It's about actually using crypto to buy things.
Exactly. Second, their technology is solid. The combination of blockchain, smart contracts, and AI creates a platform that is secure, efficient, and transparent.
And third,
their team seems incredibly passionate and dedicated. They're constantly innovating and pushing the boundaries of what's possible with this technology.
it sounds like they're genuinely trying to build something special, not just chasing quick profits.
Yeah, that's the sense I get. Now, of course, there are risks involved. The crypto market is notoriously volatile, and there's always possibility of
Regulatory.
challenging.
Right, it's important to remember that. This is still a relatively new and uncharted territory.
Absolutely. But if DMarketplace can continue to execute on its vision and navigate these challenges successfully, I think they have the potential to be a major player in the future of e-commerce.
It's definitely something worth watching. So for our listener who's been with us on this deep dive, what's the key takeaway you want them to remember about DMarketplace?
I think the biggest takeaway is that DMarketplace represents a shift in how we think about online commerce. It's not just about buying and selling goods. It's about creating a more decentralized, transparent, and community-driven marketplace.
It's about giving people more control over their data, their finances, and their online experiences.
Exactly. And while it's still early days, DMarketplace is a fascinating experiment that could have a profound impact on the future of e-commerce and beyond.
This has been a truly insightful deep dive. Thanks for guiding us through the intricacies of DMarketplace.
It's been my pleasure. Always exciting to explore the forefront of innovation.
And for you, our listener, we encourage you to check out DMarketplace's website and social media if you want to learn more.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.